हर यूट्यूबर यही बोल रहा है कि बहुत बड़ा हाइक मिलता है तुम्हें, सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोडक्ट चले जाओ, 10x सैलरी, 1 करोड़ कमाओगे, ये है वो है। दिस इज अ रियलिटी चेक दैट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल शुड नो कि इफ यू वांट टू स्विच इन फॉर द रोल दैट यू वांट, नॉट फॉर द मनी।
First even know for a fact if you really want to do it, because this is a trend that I'm seeing very recently, that now product management is very well known, right? So it might seem like the shiny thing wherein you don't have to code, so you feel like this is maybe something I want to do, but it's very important that you make up your mind and understand the very essence of the role and if you would actually enjoy it.
It's a completely new domain. You have never had the experience of actually taking ownership of a product, of managing a whole dev team.
Cool. Hi and welcome to my podcast Kaam Ki Baat, and this episode is going to be for people who are currently in the software field being software developers and wanting to shift to a more product based role, product managers, associate product managers. And so for that I have two guests who are currently product managers at different companies and have been software developers in the past. So they will tell us about their journey and how, if you want to become a product manager, how can you do the same? So, a brief intro from both of you, like what's your educational background, what careers have you been? Akshita, if you can start.
Sure. Hi, I'm Akshita. I did my UG from RV College, Bangalore. So that was in computer science and engineering. After that, I started working at Walmart Labs in Bangalore. Now it's called Walmart Global Tech. I had done a couple of internships there that was in data science and ML. But when I joined full time, I kind of went into the advertising technology domain. And I continued working there for, it was close to 3 years, about 33, 34 months. And that's when I joined Excel, Excel Airlines in Shibpur for my MBA. 2 years of MBA. During my summer internship, I interned at a company called Media.net. That was in a product management role. And then I happened to convert it and get a PPO. And right now I've joined there full time. And this company also happens to be in the advertising technology domain. So that's
Right.
about my path.
Hi everyone, my name is Sneha. I did my BTech from VIT Vellore, where I met Ayush as well. And it was a great experience. Right after that, so basically, I had a software development internship at Gap Inc., which got converted to a full-time development role. About a year into development, I understood my passion towards product management and also got an opportunity to switch within the company. So I did that, and I was in the search department for about a year or so. Then I moved to Lenskart, and there I was working as a product manager for again a year. Then I realized I wanted to do an MBA, and I went to ISB for my MBA. Right now, I've just very recently joined Javox, which is an ad tech company. So it's been about 2 weeks.
Oh, so yeah, both in advertising technology. So, starting from the initial point, that is when you both were straight out of engineering. So you both joined the software development company and was working in software development field. So, how was your experience? कैसा था? Did you like the work there? And did you always wanted to do a software engineering? मतलब software development का ही काम करना था या नहीं? And how was your work experience there?
Okay, I'll go first. When I initially
Yeah.
joined, like I didn't have a lot of coding experience. A lot of my batchmates in RV were very avid coders, like Lead Code, Geeks for Geeks. ये बहुत करते थे, मैंने उतना नहीं किया during my placement prep, but I had a fair idea and I kind of knew कि I like logic and all that stuff. So even though I wasn't like a master of coding, that is something I wanted to do. Thankfully, Walmart was a great place to learn. Like everyone was really helpful, and the kind of work they kind of eased me into it. So I was enjoying it. So I think maybe for the first year it was all interesting because you're learning a lot and everything. But after a while, it's not that I didn't like the work, but I just felt like this is not something I want to do very long term because. It is interesting, but I kind of felt like I am not the best at it. Like I saw people around me and they were so much more passionate about, writing code. And I wasn't. Even though I like logic, I even like technology. I was very interested by it. But just sitting and coding as an individual contributor, I felt like, okay, I can do it for maybe 2 years more, essay. But pura career, aisa, I can't do. So that was my experience with being a software developer.
Yeah. So similar for me. So when I landed my internship, I remember that was the very first company that came for a summer internship. I was zero prepared. I had never coded, and the minimum that I had done, I think, was Arduino. So it was very like basic classes that you have. So yeah, I mean, I was interested by it. I wanted to learn more, and Gap seemed like a very interesting company to work for, and everybody I met was super interesting, super chill. But then again, when I joined, I realized that this is maybe not my passion. I had a front end role during my internship, and I enjoyed it, enjoyed building stuff. But maybe the execution part was not really like actually coding was not exactly my passion, and I realized it very soon. So I started looking at other things. So when I actually converted to a proper like full time role, then when I was working, I realized that this role was luckily not just coding. We were a DevOps engineering plus testing also. So we were doing DevOps, coding, and testing. So as a part of that, I got a chance to talk to a lot of different teams, do a lot of UI, a lot of different things, right? So that got me interested in a lot of different things, and that was my segue into product management because I was somebody who enjoyed everything a little bit. I wouldn't want to just do one thing, right? So that is when I realized that, maybe coding isn't it for me. And I really enjoy talking to a lot of different types of people, understanding multiple things and seeing how they all tie in together into the bigger business mold, right? So that was my segue into product.
Got it. Very good point that you pointed out. Ki moving on from coding, there are different fields in the software development itself, like DevOps वगैरह. So for someone who is just straight out of college, getting into job, उसके बारे में can you briefly talk about these different roles which are somewhat related to software development, like DevOps क्या होता है and different roles क्या होता है front end back end में, and मतलब if how can they differ in terms of coding का experience?
Yeah, I can totally do that. So, um, unluckily, we did not have that sort of understanding when we were just graduating, right? And we didn't have any classes that taught us the different roles, which is seemingly the most important thing. I had not even heard of the word product manager when I left college. Things are much better now, but yeah, just to give an understanding of different roles. First is, of course, the pure development, which is either front end, back end, or full stack. So you do both front end and back end, right? Then you have somebody who is working on the pipelines, all of the back end of how your code is and your infrastructure is, right? So that is your DevOps engineer. So of course, the DevOps engineer role differs greatly when it comes to different companies. The definition shifts a little bit, but essentially it is the infrastructure part of it. Then you have the testers, the QAs or the testers who test the code and also do a lot of automation around that, right? Then you also have the UI UX part of it, where you have the designers. Some companies also segregate in terms of UI designer and UX designer, but that's very rare. Generally, you have a UI UX designer wherein you dabble with Figma, Adobe, etc., and you build what it looks like. So, where the front end engineer will look at your design and then code it, right? So that is your front end part of it. Then you also have multiple other roles like there's security, cloud security, and there'll be now there is prompt engineering. So there is an AI developer. So these are different smaller roles, but these are a little more niche. The general are the ones that I've mentioned. Apart from that, this is not a role that you get right out of college, but you can still like aspire for it, which is the architect role. So as soon as you start understanding the basics of coding, then you slowly transition into somebody who understands architecture better, and then you move to a architect role.
Great. Which comes back to Akshata's point. She said that she was not really the best at her job, which is very hard to believe. Because when she entered our college, everyone, like, at least in my class, everyone was like, "Ki she has been software developer 3 in Walmart," which, according to an engineer, is a very big thing. So, from that point now, she said that not being very passionate about coding, thinking of diverting into different career options, what are career options did you evaluate at that time? Matlab, did you consider these things like DevOps, architecture, वगैरह? You were very fixated on the product management side. And how did you come about making that decision? कि you want to shift to product management role.
So for me, I did want to shift to something like product management. As Sneha said, when you go out of UG, you have no idea what a product manager means, right? I saw maybe program managers, a few product managers, we saw a few analysts, and seeing these roles, you realize, okay, there are things like this because otherwise, initially you feel like it is all different types of coding. Like everybody is just doing, something. And I didn't know that you actually can get a chance to talk to business or, some external stakeholders. So this I didn't know. But slowly when I started seeing some people in my team, the people who would run the scrum, who would, manage the daily sprint, and then they would come and tell us, Ki, this is the requirement that has come from our client and all of that. And even when the product was made, they were making those presentations to our leadership, etc. And that's when I realized it's not like I like a specific type of coding or I don't, or I didn't really consider maybe QA or DevOps, because that also involved uh, a similar kind of technical expertise, even if it was in a different domain. So I really wanted to get more involved in the business. And I think that is why that product management ka kida kind of came into my head. And I think within 1.5 years, I was kind of fixated on it that I need to figure out how to transition to a product manager now.
Great. I know you were working in Walmart, and Walmart is a company which hires a lot of product managers also. At least used to hire from a lot of colleges. So did you at any point of time consider like moving within the company from a software developer role to a product manager role?
Yeah, very like important thing to address here, because that is the first thing you think of, right? You naturally, the thing comes to you is, are there any steps that I can go from here to there? I explored a lot of it. I spoke to a lot of seniors. It looked a little difficult. Like, I'm not saying you cannot directly go from a software engineer to a product manager, but in bigger companies like this, where they have a pretty rigid structure, and every role is very well defined. Even when they're hiring for a role, the requirements and eligibility that come are pretty strict. Like, if it's a product manager, you should have this degree, you should have these many years of experience. And I knew a few people who had tried to make the transition happen. Like, they had spoken to their managers, and they were more senior than me. Like, having done software development work, they had maybe worked for 4 or 5 years. Even then, like, when they tried to, kind of shift, I saw them that they were struggling a bit, because when they're, at least this was my experience. Now, I could be very wrong. There are maybe thousands of product managers in Walmart. So maybe these are like small instances that I saw. But from what I realized is that it is not easy to just, you were chosen for a completely coding role, and you can't just go to your manager and be like, give me a little bit of product managerial work. Like, they will give you, you will learn, but just off the basis of that, completely changing your role is a little difficult. And also, the thing with Walmart is, as much as I'm aware, they take freshers in product management only off campus. And external hiring, they only do at higher levels, like with 2 or more years of product management experience. So because of those requirements, it is not easy for you, when you have zero product management experience, to even transition within the organization. Maybe if I had stuck around and tried, and, maybe I would have found opportunities. But for me, then it looked not impossible, but it looked a little difficult. And that's why then I started exploring this MBA option.
It's true. A lot of time, like the management seems like they think कि बहुत skill gap है in between those. Because you guys come from a software background, I coming from a hardware background. I try to transit from a hardware developer to a hardware product management role in the startup I used to work at. But again, there was a skill gap that I observed, and the management also thought that there's a skill gap that I cannot cover. But Sneha, on the other hand, was able to transit from a software engineering role directly to a product management role in Gap. So, Sneha, can you tell more about that?
Yeah. So when I was working in Gap, I got a little lucky also there, because Gap had never transitioned anybody from a software role to a product role. Randomly, because COVID was going on, and I think there was some sort of a, I'm not sure on the back end what was happening, but I got lucky in the sense that my manager one day randomly puts on our team's group that, is there somebody who wants to learn about product management or wants to dabble in such an opportunity? And that had been on the back of my mind at that point, because I used to kind of shadow my product manager, see what he's doing, and try to understand the business requirements. So I was already interested in it. So I was like, ठीक है चलो करके देखते हैं, what is the worst that will happen. So I just messaged my manager, and he connected me to a director of product management in India. We had about 6-7 product managers in India at that point in Gap, and nobody had transitioned. So they called me the pilot program, and they put a lot of pressure on me in the sense that, if you do well and this works fine, then we can take this forward and we can have other software people also transition into product. So I was like, okay, let's do it. So initially the plan was that I'll do a little bit of software. I'll move to a new team where I'll do a little bit of software, a little bit of product, and they'll see if I'm doing well, and then they'll transition me completely. But I spoke to the person who was supposed to work with the new team, and they mentioned that it's not possible to do both because the development work is very difficult here. You can't just do both. So then I went back to the director and I was like, can I just do product management and I'm going to put 100% of my effort there. So he's like, fine, let's give it a shot. He took an interview. It was a very short interview. It was a very easy one, favorite product question. So a very easy interview, and luckily I made through. They gave me about 1 or 2 months to prove myself. I was leading the product search part. I had a product manager in US, but I was leading the India part, and I absolutely loved the experience. The and something about Gap is that the people are very very good to you. They are very very helpful. The culture is amazing there. So I got a lot of help from my company. My previous manager was always there to help me whenever needed. So everybody was absolutely amazing, and I think I got lucky in that way, and I was able to transition completely to product management.
Got it. So you were able to transit from a software to a product role. But
Yeah.
Akshita, as you wanted to shift and you thought that it's a difficult part to shift within the Walmart itself, how did you then come up with कि MBA करना चाहिए and evaluating between opportunity कि बाकी companies में should I apply for a product management role or should I directly go for an MBA? How did you think about it and go about it?
So, I think when I started thinking of it, then I started thinking of a lot of things. You know, I was seeing my seniors who were at the level of architects or maybe software engineer five and all of those. And it seemed like you still, even after a lot of years of experience, you don't get to step into a leadership role very naturally. So for me, I kind of stopped thinking about just product management, and I'm like, leadership in business is something I want to get into. तो उसके लिए like क्या करना होता है, and like the natural thing, if you talk to maybe even 2-3 people, they'll tell you कि yeah, you want to do leadership, MBA is that launch pad, and you do an MBA, all those top management roles will open for you, and it's just the natural path to any leadership kind of role. So that is when I started thinking about it. I did a bit of research out of UG. I think I didn't have so much exposure about which colleges, India, abroad, ye wo, kaun se exams hote. I didn't know much. I started doing a bit of my own research and then spoke to a couple of coaching centers. And then I kind of became convinced ki, okay, I think I don't want to be, ki when I'm 30, I am still coding. Even if it's a very high level coding, a lot of responsibility. I will definitely be earning really well also. Like people who are doing very senior roles in software development, they have good compensation packages also. But again, that's not something that I wanted to continue doing. So then I was like, okay, maybe it'll be product management or maybe it'll be something else that I haven't thought of. Maybe I heard of there are account managers, there are category managers in all these FMCGs, and all the roles sounded very interesting. Some of them didn't involve tech as much. So because of that, then MBA started looking like a very good option. And then I started exploring, ki, okay, now how do I prepare for these exams that you're supposed to give for MBA? So that is how I decided, like, it looked like my safest option then. Like, just weathering it out in the company didn't look like it would get me anywhere unless there was a stroke of luck. And applying outside, as I again mentioned, I had heard that you always need to come with prior experience. There was nobody that wanted to hire freshers, maybe startups, but it's difficult when you kind of have been in an organization that is very structured, going back to a startup and starting from scratch in a role that you know nothing about. Again, it seemed like a bit of a gamble to me. So that's why I zeroed in on the MBA option.
Makes sense. Also, a very unique perspective because a lot of people who do end up doing an MBA are motivated by two factors. That is, first of all, leadership role, and the second is a salary hike, which in your case, I think don't apply because you're already good at a good enough place in software development. So, great to know about that. But coming to experience that I read about Sneha, matlab, I saw a post on LinkedIn and I got to connect with you also on that is you were a part of GrowthX product management program. So can you tell us a bit more about that? And if someone wants to join in now, how can they?
Yep, definitely. So, GrowthX, I decided to do GrowthX when I was just joining Lenscard. So, I was moving from a MNC sort of a environment to a more startup environment in Lenscard, and I realized that I would want to get more into the business part of it. And you do end up doing everything when you are in a startup, right? And I felt very ill equipped for it because my background had been tech, a little bit of product, and a very different sort of product. And things change a lot in product when you move different companies, right? So I decided to do GrowthX because, and it was not exactly a product management program. It was just to understand growth and how companies, how could you grow a company, right? So I saw GrowthX, and one thing that I really liked is that they help you work with multiple types of people from different walks of life and departments and roles that can help you grow your not just communication but also grow your expertise. So I decided to go for it. The way it was structured is first 4 weeks talk about the four pillars of growth: acquisition, retention, monetization, and there's one more I'm forgetting. But basically, what they do is they teach you, and then you take that and you apply it to an existing company, and that also builds your portfolio. So that was another thing that I liked because I was putting in, iske bahane hi, I was putting in the effort and building my portfolio and learning. Then the last couple of weeks is optional, but I would totally recommend it. So there you have a capstone project, which is where you work with like people from different departments. So I was working with two people who were ex CEOs, current CEOs, marketing developers, different sorts of people who I might not have interacted with, and we worked on a same project. It was a project on Decathlon and how we would grow their revenue. And we got to work on it and then present it to Decathlon and get their feedback on it. So that was a great experience for me. But with the caveat that I was at a stage in my life where I had zero clue about growth and how I would like understand the businesses of companies and see how to grow them. For somebody who has already done an MBA or who understands growth, I don't know if it'll be a value add at that point in my life. It was a value add to me, especially because it introduced me to this network of people who were, ready to go out of their way and still are happy to help me out whenever needed. So at that point of my life, where I had just the development role and a couple of years of product management role, it was a great decision for me.
So yeah, if anyone now wants to join in that school, how can they go about it?
Yep. So I don't know if the process has changed. I don't think so. But they have a website wherein you just go and apply. They reach out to you and they have an interview process. So for mine, interview was with, I think, 10 other people. They give you a problem and everybody kind of voices out their opinion. And this is a really good structured interview. So they'll keep asking you questions, everybody tells their views on it, and then they get back to you with the results. So it's a very simple process. You have a very easy interview. It's a conversation. It's not actually an interview. It's a conversation, group discussion, whatever you want to call it. It's very fun.
Great. So Akshata ka she told ki she wanted to transit to a more leadership-based role and wanted to evaluate more fields. So that is why she decided to do an MBA. What was your reason behind it? Like now being a product manager in Lenscard, already at a good enough position. What led you to an MBA?
Yeah, great question. So, about this time, I had 3 years of product management experience, 1 year of software experience, and honestly, I felt a little stagnated when I was. I wanted to grow faster, right? And I also wanted to learn more because even at this point, I did have some understanding of business, but when it comes to finance, marketing, economics, I had so much knowledge gap. I felt that MBA would be the perfect time to fill it. I did not want to put too much time into an MBA. I was looking for a 1 year MBA that just fills all of my gaps, helps me build a brand behind myself. And quite honestly, I also wanted that, salary hike, or if not salary hike, the opportunities to open up for me, which come with a brand, right? So that was also a very honest reason. And also, when you are in a school like ISB, you get the exposure to different sorts of people. For example, there was somebody in my batch who had played IPL. There was a news reporter. There were doctors, ISRO scientists. So it was a beautifully diverse crowd that I wanted to engage with. So all in all, it could be seen as something that would just be a checkbox so that I can get the next leadership role. But I wanted to spend that time to just absorb and learn for that 1 year in my life before I go back to corporate. So you can call it my educational break, vacation, whatever you want to call it. But I felt that it was very necessary for me to take that next step. If not in the short term, in the long terms, I was hoping that I'd see enough ROI.
Got it. So Akshata, as Sneha said, she was very fixated on the point कि एक year का MBA she will pursue. But as we pursued XLR as a BM for 2 years, did you evaluate other options as well? As you said, you didn't consider going outside, but did you evaluate the 1 year option? And when you didn't finalize on the 2 year option, how did you go about by the prep? Because software development की job के साथ साथ, how did you prepare for the exams like CAT and
So I did evaluate the 1 year option. I mean, when you think of doing an MBA in India, it's naturally it's CAT, XAT, and you look at ISB also, which is GMAT. So from what I had understood was that the preparation for CAT and XAT is kind of similar. It goes on parallelly, and GMAT is like quite different. Like, and a lot of people, at least I had heard, were people who were good with going outside also, or they were okay with doing a 1 year MBA in India also. But for me, honestly, I had thought that, I'll first give CAT a crack. If that does not work out for a year or two, or like whatever deadline I had set for myself, then I'll explore GMAT, because I understood that along with my job, preparing for two exams that had different preparations was going to be way too much. So I decided to go with one first, because if I wanted to do it from India, then GMAT was pretty much opening only ISB for me among the reputed colleges. And then there was a bit of the factor of what would the fees be and all of that also. So I had to compare those also. I think if you, XLRI's fees is a little higher, but if you look at the old IIMs, they are a little lower than probably what a college like ISB would charge. So um, the 1 year, again, I had also heard that it's quite an accelerated course. You do get to learn everything, but I was kind of willing to make that trade off of spending 2 years and the opportunity cost of those 2 years. But yeah, I decided to go with the CAT and XAT route because of that. Yeah, that's
Yeah, and how did you prepare along a
right.
job?
How did I prepare? So I started preparing, I think I wrote CAT twice, right? First, I wrote it in 2021 and then again in 2022. So the first time that I prepared for it, I had just joined time coaching, which I think most people do. And then I wouldn't even go for classes. I did not opt for classes online, offline, anything, even though the center was right near my house. I was like, I don't want to study itna suddenly. So I'm like, just give me your material and let me like learn on my own. I did a lot of self learning. I think my preparation for CAT involved learning a lot on my own. I think maybe twice or thrice I would have interacted with the teachers, and that was just for doubt solving. Like, many times I really felt like I was being lazy. I'm like, nobody has cracked CAT without going for a single class or whatever. But I just felt like I did better with self learning. It was better when it was at my own pace. And after COVID, I had the luxury of, work from home. So it's like, if you do not have some things between your day, you can always pull out a book and start solving sums. So like, thankfully, the work life balance at Walmart was pretty great. It's not like, the hours were long, and it wouldn't tire you out. It would still leave you with energy to do other things. And that is why I was able to prepare for this. So for me, the thing that I chose to do was, I'm not traveling to work, neither am I going to travel to study. I'll sit at my home and I'll try to juggle this, and that's how I'm going to, manage my time and energy. And I wrote it the first year. I think I cracked a couple of colleges, but I hadn't prepared much. It was just 2-3 months of prep. So then I was like, no, I'll prepare another year and then maybe I'll do better. And yeah, so after 2 years, then I decided, okay, I'm getting XLR. I want to go ahead with this. So that's how my
Correct.
prep was.
Yeah. So coming to the point, ki you have both gotten into an MBA college with a predefined mindset ki we want to maybe go into a tech field and maybe explore the other fields as well. So coming to a MBA college, the first things across ISB, XLRI, all top colleges is we want to make a CV. And for especially for PM roles or tech roles, there is a very specific CV that needs to be built. So how did you guys go about it?
Sure. First, No, I think the CVs you make during your UG is a whole different ball game than what you make during your MBA. Firstly, I think the college and your seniors and everyone, place com, whatever, they teach you a lot about how to do it. Like it's a very rigorous process. But I think the CV that you make for PM roles will be very different from what you would make for, say, a consult role. So, at least in XLRI, the first CV we all made was for consult. And in that, we were told to show like a very multifaceted personality. Like, you've done this also, your extracurriculars are great, and maybe you've done some social work and all of that. You wanted to show many things. I think for a PM role, they read that first half of your CV, which is about your tech experience, and they don't there may be places, but in general, what I've heard is they don't care that much about, maybe what you were doing with sports or what you were doing with arts. Like they want to see, ki, okay, within tech, in your workplace, what is it? Did you do leadership stuff? Did you do stakeholder management? But you are always told to highlight your work experience first, your academic achievements first, and any courses that you have taken or any life projects that you have done. Basically, all of your professional experience should cover a major part of your CV. And even like what I had done was I made my consult CV, and then from that I made my Prodman CV. In that, I added more work ex points and I shifted all the buckets of professional experience up, and I had to drop a lot of extracurricular points. Though it's very hard. You want to keep this also, you want to keep that also, but at the end of the day, you need to understand what a recruiter for product management is looking for. And often that is very different from what somebody in marketing or consult is looking for. So I would say focus a lot on the technical part. And a lot of software developers, like they feel like I too have not done anything in Prodman. But the thing is, every time you spoke to a different team, every time you collaborated with someone, sometimes it's just you were training somebody who was probably an intern under you. A lot of that can be shown as experience in the direction of Prodman, probably, even if you have some experience with, say, Jira, with Scrums, with agile methodologies, which most of the companies during software development, you will come across that kind of experience. So we don't realize that that can be highlighted, and it reflects really well, as a product management experience.
Great. So a lot of people, like in our batch also, a very large percentage of people were already software developers who have now come into an MBA. So in order, क्योंकि PM roles already बहुत कम आते हैं campus पे, and I'm sure not just XLRI, even though ISB is known as a product campus, but it's still, I know that it's still not a very prominent role जहाँ पे बहुत सारे offers आते हैं. So how can someone make their CV a bit distinguished from the other software developers? क्योंकि बहुत सारे software developers हैं. So if you could give us some insights on that.
So, in my experience, I'm not sure exactly of recruiters ko kya chahiye, but I think what has worked for me and for my friends who were coming from pure software development roles, it's highlighting those key words in product management. For example, if you've done stakeholder management, because somebody who's reading your CV does not have too much time. So if you have those keywords like helping with the roadmap or improving XYZ business numbers, maybe KPI as a word or stakeholder management as a word, these really strike attention. They take attention from the recruiter, and then they read more, right? And like you mentioned, I was like, you might not have actually done product management work per se, but the work that you have done might be similar to what a product manager does. For example, if you have shown leadership skills in terms of taking charge of a project and then getting it to completion, just find out about the business impact of it. So suppose that has increased a certain metric by X percentage. So write down that percentage. Go back to your product manager, find out exactly what the business impact was, even if it was a technological impact, like made the system faster by X percent or removed the bugs by Y%. So find out those exact numbers and how your impact has grown on that, and write them down in points, and like a very clear point. The way I structure my sentence is what I did, how I did, and how that impacted the organization. So make that very clear. And another thing that has helped me is the skills. So if you can show your technical skills, I think that really helps, because most of the product management roles look for a technical expertise. Between somebody who has done consulting and somebody who's been a software person, they will obviously prefer somebody who has a technical expertise. So make that shine in your resume. If you have worked with monitoring tools, write it down. If you have worked in DevOps and you understand pipelines or pipelines work, so write that down. Those skills should be mentioned very clearly in your resume. And also, one thing which is very, very important is how well you work with a team, or how well you motivate a team. So if you can bring that out in either your resume or your interviews, that will really help you, because software development is seen as a very independent role, which is not very, you might not need to talk to so many people if you're in a software development role. So if you can show that you have collaborated with such and such team, if you have trained somebody, and this is very normal, we don't think about it. There's an intern that comes in, we just train them throughout, you become their buddy, but you don't realize that this is a very important skill, and it's a resume pointer. You can write that, this is this 2 3 people I've trained, they went from intern to a software role and they have done this, right? So that is your impact on not just the person but also the organization. So ensure that you kind of think very deeply about your experiences, talk to the business person or the product manager on your team, understand your impact in the very low and the high levels, and then write it down in very clear words, and have that skill section where you have the soft skills and the hard skills. Soft skills could be, maybe you understand how to prioritize things, because prioritization is the most important thing that a product manager does. So like right prioritization, right road mapping, story writing, and all of that, that's very important.
Makes sense. Very good point there. Ki put in everything that you have done to train others and manage the team itself. Like one of our seniors used to say कि life में हर एक किया हुआ काम एक CV pointer ही है. So take that approach. But now coming to the point कि when you end up in XLRI or ISP, what kind of roles and what kind of companies come with the PM product related fields? So Akshata, if you can tell about Excel, and then Sneha on ISB.
Sure. So, as you mentioned, like the first reality that hits you when you, get there is that the chunk of batch, which is engineers, is a lot, and the roles that come for PM are just a handful. In that, there are most of the companies have a pretty rigid work-ex criteria. You need to have a certain number of months of work-ex to even qualify for their process. But I think during our summer internship, there were a few companies. Good reputable companies that had come. And then in the finals, I think the product management roles were even lesser. So the ratio of how many people want to go into the field to the number of roles that come is very, very less. And I think it's also very dependent on how the market is. So it just happened that in our year, the market was not doing great. It you can see it in the tech landscape, right? Like when you see that there are layoffs happening outside, and the engineers are getting laid off, or there's a hiring freeze, it's obvious that even when they come for campus recruitment, they will have much lesser roles to offer than they do before. A lot of companies that you were eyeing, because there is only a handful of companies and some of them just become like your dream companies, and sometimes it just so happens that you go to finals and you realize your dream company is not even coming to campus this year. So the opportunities are very few, but I think I wouldn't say that it's a very bleak scenario. Like if you do, your CV making right, if you've done your interview prep right, and if you have that number of, months of work ex required, it's definitely something that you can do, because the process of interviews and product management is not like very harsh or very rigorous. It'll come to you quite naturally. The prep is very interesting. It's not something that makes you want to pull your hair out or anything. So yeah, it's number of roles are less, but the prep is not that hard.
Yeah.
It's
Can you
very
also name out some of the companies that came in during our summers for product roles?
During our summers, I know Media.net had come, Microsoft had come, Disney Hotstar had come. These are the three companies where I had gone through the process a bit, so I know. I think Walmart also had come for product management. They came a little later in the stage, but these are the main names I remember. I'm sure there were a few more, and everybody picked up at least two, three people. So we had a fair number of SIPs in product management, at least in our batch in Accelerator.
Cool. Sneha, what's the scene in ISP?
Yeah, so pretty similar. Like I went in with the, um, I don't know, expectation that there are a lot of product companies coming in, but sadly the tech landscape right now in general, recession and everything has kind of taken a toll. So the hiring has gone down. But I think it's getting better. So good news for the people who will be going for an MBA at least coming years. But for our year also, it was still getting back. So not those that many companies as I expected. I think within Mang there was only Microsoft that came, and that was also looking for somebody with lesser work experience, at least according to me. So maybe for a particular niche sort of a experience role. But yeah, there were good companies that came in. Some came in a little later, like Flipkart came in a little later. Then there were companies like Myntra, Zynga, Walmart also came in again a little later. Then there were a lot of startups like Javox, and smaller companies as well. There's this company called Fresh Prince. Within international placements, I think as far as I can remember, in product only Agoda came, and they ended up picking nobody. So yeah, it's a hard process in Agoda, and it's not that easy. Mostly, I'll tell you two reasons why it's not easy. One is generally they want one product manager or maybe two product managers. Some companies do take a lot, like for example, Okta took a lot of product managers, I think five. So, but generally, it'll be one or two because the ratio of a product manager to a developer is again skewed, right? So that ends up happening. Another big reason is as soon as a product manager leaves a company, you need another product manager right away. It's a very high priority role. So to kind of pace that okay, this B school will churn out their graduates in May or whatever, and then pacing that out is a little difficult. So planning is something which is really difficult for an organization. Generally, they want somebody right away. So for that reason also, I think product management through B School suffers a little bit. But that being said, I think there were really good companies that came in with, and a lot of my friends who were software developers moved into product management and they're doing great. So yeah, I mean, definitely people who were seasoned product managers as well as people who were just getting into product management. And there were more companies. There was RCGM, there was Salesforce. So no dearth of companies if you want an opportunity, but still it's not like you can expect too many companies. I would say just understand and temper your expectations.
Good to know. Also, some of the companies, not just conventional product management companies like e-commerce, some of the other firms like FMCG, like HUL hired product managers from our campus, and some of the new companies like in manufacturing also are now hiring, like Asian Paints, I think hired, Mahindra hired in our senior batches also. So yeah, these kinds of roles are also open. Now coming to the part of you have made your CV, the companies have come to campus, and then you get in a shortlist. What's the procedure after that, and how do you prepare for that?
Yeah, so once you get a shortlist, a lot of companies will have some sort of case round. It can either be a live case round like Microsoft had, where it was a half an hour to 1 hour. You were given a half an hour window and you had to work on a case and present it then and there. Or it can be something like media, where they give you 2 or 3 days and you have to make a complete deck. Now, with all the things that are going on, you already have, other domains to prepare for. You have your, at least for us, we had our final exams also going on.
Yes.
And at the same time, you were given like a big deck to prepare. And there's a lot of things that they tell you. When the brief comes, it kind of just blows your mind and you get very panicky. One way to avoid it is to start preparing a little bit in advance. If again, as I mentioned, there is not like a whole sea of things that you have to cover in product management. There are a few things. The circles framework is like the bible of product management. So at least if you've given a few hours and practiced a few cases applying circles, you will be in a much better position to crack this first case round that comes your way. After that, it kind of comes intuitively to you. It's all about making the presentation, how you present it. But it's just that you need to understand understand that flow. Otherwise, one night before your submission, you will be sitting there trying to understand a framework which is very simple, but in that panic, it all looks very difficult for you. And I think once you make it through the case round, after that, you have a few rounds of interviews. Depending on which company it is, you have some of them have a buddy round where you connect with one person, and then that person will try to understand what experience you had. Like, again, people on their CV, they do write thoda sa, they polish it and write and everything, and they actually try to understand that do you have that kind of sound technical knowledge that you claim to have. And then they also see that are you able to grasp concepts in product management if you're going to step into that role. That is the buddy round. And then you'll have one or two other interviews where they ask you company specific stuff, they ask you a little bit of product managerial stuff. Sometimes they go back to your case and discuss that at length. But yeah, that's pretty much more or less how it is. Some companies do have a GD. I think I spoke about the companies that came in the pre-process, but companies like Walmart will have a GD where they give you a topic related to some sort of tech. And then this is again, a lot of prep goes on in B schools. In XLRI, we had a lot of support from the placement committees. They got us prepped for these kind of GDs. But yeah, this is pretty much what the process entails.
Sneha, how was your experience like? And also do mention like how is an MBA ka PM interview different from a pre-MBA PM interview because you have cracked in both of them. So
Yeah, so again, pre-MBA, it's absolutely anywhere and anything. Like anything can happen. You can be asked a case, you can be asked randomly to an interview. It could be 2 rounds, like I had a lens card. It could be multiple rounds. It could be, and by the way, Agoda I think has 6 rounds for offsite of not through the campus. So it could be all over the place, but at least when you go through the campus, it is a little bit more structured. So once you get through your resume shortlisted, then most companies, not all, but most companies will have a case round wherein we didn't have any JDs that I can remember GDs, but mostly they had a case round where they were giving us a question. We had some time to come back with a presentation or a document which solves for that. And that sometimes has a wireframe or a UI that you need to sketch out for your ideas to come out better. So yeah, that if you get through that round as well, then you have interviews. For us, we don't have internships at ISB, right? It's directly placements. So it's a little more rigorous in that sense. Some companies will have multiple rounds. We'll have a design round as well as a developer technical understanding round, as well as head of product round. So some companies will have multiple rounds. But yeah, there were companies, for example, Ola, they just had 2 rounds. So actually 1 round and then HR. So even that happens. It is very whimsical. Things change around. Companies change their processes a lot. But at the end of the day, if you are comfortable understanding a product and how to go about a solution, if you have like Akshara mentioned, right? It's not that hectic. You understand the why of a product, the what and the how of a product, then you will be able to crack these interviews. They are more of a conversation. So nothing much to worry about there. And if you can actually communicate your ideas well, I think that is more than enough. So yeah, my suggestion here would be don't stress about the interviews. Just give your best, like be as conversational, as candid, and ask as many questions as you can, because that also matters a lot. If you don't ask any clarifying questions, that is going against the grain of a product manager, right? So yeah, just do that and just be yourself and you'll be fine.
great. Great points that you both added is you need to focus more on the basic logical reasoning, like circles framework को apply करने का basic logical reasoning. No need to go into depth of coding क्या चल रहा है उसका. Like when I was preparing for my Microsoft interview I had during my summers, मुझे इतना knowledge नहीं है software का, तो I was just applying basic business principles. So that is what I did. But coming to an interesting point, just I recalled right now is both of you used to write and do write blogs even now, and you both of you, as I know, have amazing conversation skills. So how much of those aspects help you in cracking a PM interview, and how can a software developer who does not have that much skill in that aspect as writing and talking, how can they go about it?
I'll go first. So I think that is a pretty challenging point because in software development, you're used to, being an individual contributor. A lot of people do not like, being out there talking so much. I have seen so many people who do so much of the work, like maybe they've done 80% of the project, they know the project in and out. But there's so many times that I have gone and presented it because they legit divide work like कोडिंग मैं करूंगा प्रेजेंटेशन तू करेगी बिकॉज एंड फॉर मी इट फेल्ट लाइक ये तो काम भी नहीं है दिस इज लाइक द इजीएस्ट पार्ट यू गिविंग मी आई डोंट इवन नो you have done the coding, but for them it felt like this is the hardest part of everything. So a lot of people have that a little bit of they don't want to open up. Even I am not like an extrovert or anything, I am an introvert, but when it comes to formal settings I happen to manage to express myself. And I think that is something that because of the way I have been through school and everything, I've done a bit of drama. You mentioned that I have a blogging channel. So with those things I've cultivated it a bit, but it's not like just because you haven't cultivated it through your life you cannot do. Mock interviews help a lot. I think during our preparations, they in our campus at least, we did a lot of mocks with seniors. We did it with some people who are already out in the industry, who are alums. That really helps. It completely simulates that kind of environment that is going to be on the day of the interview. Our interviews happen online, so that is, again, there is a bit of difference. When you are online, you cannot use your body language as much. But as you can see, I like to use my hands a lot because it kind of shows that, okay, you are trying to be expressive. So these are small things that you pick up, even if, say, you're giving 2, 3 p.m. interviews, sometimes you will see the person who is taking your interview and you'll understand how they talk. And there may be one or two nuances that you pick up and you take it into your next interview. So they are not looking for somebody who's like absolutely charismatic. You don't have to be like a Harvey Specter to be a product manager, obviously, but you are expected to have good communication skills because at the end of the day, you will be, interacting with business, interacting with engineers, and you need to command a certain kind of respect. You need to show some confidence because you are the face of the product at the end of the day. So I would say that even if, you are in your software development role or whatever, try to put yourself a little out there. Even if it's a hackathon that you're doing, don't tell your teammate that go present it, I don't want to do it. It's a little uncomfortable, but push yourself. It's not that much to learn, it's just something that you have to get used to, in my opinion.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Totally agree. I think she's made all the correct points here. Just to add to that, if you can put a structure to everything that you say, you'll feel more comfortable. For example, if you ask me a question on how I would improve a product, if I have a structure already in mind, I can just communicate that structure to the interviewer. They are comfortable with it. Then I can go about my, okay, I'll do this. First, I'll take care of the user, then their pain points and solution. So you will be more comfortable and they know exactly where your thought process is. As soon as you talk all over the place, they become uncomfortable no matter how well you're trying to communicate it. So structure always solves for it. So as long as you can develop a structure in every time you talk. For example, for a behavioral interview also, if you just ask me, what is the reason that you want to join this company? If I say that 3 points, first is this, second is this, third is this, that structure just puts my thoughts so clearly out to you that you think that, okay, my communication is amazing. Even if my English is not the greatest, even if I'm not the best orator, if I'm structured, it will come off really well. And the second thing is the fear. So that's something that I also struggled with when I was a developer because I started during COVID. So I started in this box of my room and I was just not talking to so many people, but I realized I have to do it because I'm just going to stop being able to communicate. So I started like talking to a lot of different people. I should take that work. If there was anything that was collaborative, I would raise my hand and be like, okay, I'll get this work done or that work done. To start small, start just collaborating with your friends, other teammates, get comfortable with it. Once you're comfortable, then you take bigger opportunities like presenting, demoing, and practice them a lot. So once you've practiced it, you'll get more and more comfortable with it. And slowly and steadily, I think anyone can really get there. And you don't need to be, like Akshita said, a master at it. You just need to be structured so that you can come off as somebody who will be clear and not confuse people around yourself. That's all.
Makes sense. The truly an helpful point that you pointed out, that always be structured in whatever you tell. So one tip that I used during my consult prep also regarding this is, whenever I'm doing anything, I used to always put in कि अभी मुझे अगर ये किसी को बताना हो तो मैं इसको किसी स्ट्रक्चर में बताऊंगा. Even like if I'm going to the mess to eat, I'll just put it in a structured thought and then कि इसको कैसे present कर सकते हैं. So this helps a lot. But coming to the point which Sneha earlier said that in ISB you don't have internships, you directly land up with a finals job, whereas in a 2-year MBA like IIM or XLRI, we have to go through a very tough process, which is the SIPs. So Akshata, brief on how was your SIP experience and how did you actually end up cracking the PPO?
Okay, so I think my SIP experience was quite unique because 2 months and after a month, my company was going through a few structural changes, if you know what that means. And that kind of, I remember there were three of us in the office and we kind of lost hope, you know. We were like, I don't think we can see a PPO coming out of this. तो उसी में like in your head you're already making finals के points कि okay, note down everything that I've been doing so that you know वो SIP वाला section on the CV can come out really well. But I think you cannot gauge ever how it's going for you. Like a lot of times, I think it's also that you. I think most companies have a mid-review presentation and an end-review presentation. My mid-review presentation was good. End review did not go how I planned. I kind of fumbled in the Q&A part of it, and I really felt like you know the people who had mentored me through the 2 months were quite disappointed with my answers. So after that, though, I was like, "कि अब तो नहीं मिलना है PPO." So I feel like just do your best. One thing that really helped me was that on the first day I made a doc and I used to track everything I'm doing every day, you know. And it's not just to show that you're doing work every day, but in the end, when you're making your last presentation, you will not remember everything you've done every day. So make that, share it with your manager and mentor. And I think that's one thing that really helped me. So I gave in my best in these ways. Like some of my seniors had given these tips ki, okay, you maintain this, you keep talking, you keep checking in with your seniors. They will not have the time to keep come and talk to you. You have to keep doing that. And I think when you're walking out on May 31st, you never know if you're going. Sometimes you will feel like पक्का मिलना है but नहीं आएगा, and sometimes you feel like there is no way on heaven on earth that I'm going to get it, and sometimes you just get it. So it's like you have to come out of it, and depending on when your PPO results come, you have to continue preparing through your second year, do case competitions, keep honing your interview skills, and just hope and pray that a PPO comes by like it did for me. Came very late. It came in November, where I had almost decided that it's never going to come. So that was a bit of a surprise. But by then I had already gone into doing case competitions and all of that.
Good. मतलब very helpful two tips that you pointed out is first, note down all of the work that you have done. It not just helps in the interview, it also helps in writing the CV if you do not make it. And the second point is reach out to people across firms in marketing, consulting, product. If you have an internship, just reach out to the people in that company, ask for help, and just let the people know what you're working on. Now coming to the point that you said is case comps. So especially in a 2-year MBA, people who have not converted a PPO, and even in ISB, a lot of people focus on converting case comps. So what are the case comps that come in specifically for a PM role? I know Microsoft is one, but what are different companies do offer these case comps, and how do you go about it?
Sure. I think from a PM perspective, I don't remember there being many case comps. There was one with Airtel, I think, that had come early on. Apart from that, we did not have Microsoft PM engaged this year in our campus, although that was something I was really looking forward to. But yeah, I think a lot of the case competitions were marketing related. Not to say that, as a PM aspirant, you should not be focusing on that. Even if you, like, sometimes I was completely okay with going into that sort of role also. There were a lot of great companies, like we had AB InBev and these kind of companies come in. So I really wanted, to explore those roles also. And even if you don't end up getting a placement through the CaseCom, it looks good on your CV. I would say personally, I have not had very great luck with place comms, maybe sorry, with case comms.
Yes.
Maybe it's the way that there's some knack to it that I couldn't crack, but or I just was unlucky. But I didn't get very far in most of them except maybe one or two, and I didn't completely crack a role through any of them. But it really, the point that Sneha had mentioned, that you need to be structured. I think case comms help you like anything in bringing structure to your ideas. You can have the best ideas, but it'll get lost if you don't have structure. So it was, for me at least, case comms were more of a learning experience. But I also saw a lot of batchmates who landed great roles, by getting PPIs through case comms. So uh, they may say that the number of roles in this domain or that domain is less, but case comms is a great way to crack the roles that you want.
And Sneha, how's the scene for case comp in ISB?
Yeah, so a lot of companies do hire through case comms actually. There was Flipkart, Wired, and
Yeah.
again, Microsoft didn't come this year. Then there was Bajaj Finserv, and I think there was a few more companies, but not too many, but at least I would say a handful of companies do hire through case comms. I did get case comp. I think Bajaj Finserv. I think I did get through with that also. So a lot of people, yeah, MMT also came through case comps. So yeah, a lot of different people did get hired through case comps, and it's a really good opportunity. But the way I see case comps, it's not something that you should look at to get you a job directly, but it's something that builds your product muscle really well, and you learn a lot of different skills throughout. So for example, if you're doing a lot of wireframes or UI design mockups, you will learn Figma really well, or how to design, so that really helps. If you present, that'll help your communication skills, presentation skills, how to answer questions on the spot. Then the best part is you get those designs, PPT templates and Canva templates that you can directly use when you actually appear for interviews, before interviews in the case rounds, right? So that builds your skill, makes you faster with these presentations, and you are able to kind of internalize how to solve a problem as well, because you do it so many times. So it doesn't matter if you win, lose, it really doesn't matter. It's just a learning experience. So my suggestion to everybody who asks me is always do as many case comps as possible. It'll help you make friends also on the plus side, network, and also you'll get amazing templates for yourself.
Great. So now you guys have both landed up with jobs in product management roles. So how do you like in hindsight compare your product management role to your software development stint?
So it's been just 2 weeks, but that and my SIP experience combined, it is quite different. Like here, it's when I went into software development, I was told pehle ki, you have to go into the code base and all of that. Here, it's a little different. They're telling me the people I need to connect with, just understand what everybody is working on. Some of the things are common, like architecture. मुझे वहाँ पे भी समझना पड़ा था, यहाँ पे भी. I think a little bit of, even if you do not come from a technical background, I think a lot of people who joined with me don't have software development experience. Even then, you need to understand a little bit of tech, not to the level of writing code, but architecture, systems, databases. You need to understand that a bit. And yeah, right now I'm still kind of easing into the role. So just trying to talk to people. I have a mentor who is helping me understand the business. Like I think Sneha would agree that advertising technology is, it's a pretty niche domain. It's not a B2C, like maybe if you were working for an e-commerce app or something. It's like if you were making the client-facing technology there, that is very different from when you are doing something like advertising technology, because the business and the clients that you interact with, these are not your consumers. So that's a whole different ball game. I think the first few weeks do go in understanding the business, if your domain is something like that. And it has been a little different than software development. I would say there, not just software development, there are a few other roles that are similar. Like I would just like to add that if you do not land up a PM role, there are similar roles, like there are program managers, project managers who do similar kind of roles, and maybe in a year or two you will get that title of PM. So these are the roles that are more similar to PM in terms of learning. Software development was a little different. There you are expected to, learn coding, learn the languages and all of that.
Great. Sneha, also please do add in how was your experience working across a startup like Lenskart and a multi a conglomerate like Gap and even like your current firm, Jivox?
Yeah. So I think product management in its essence remains the same, but the roles and responsibilities change a lot across organizations. And I realized that when I went from Gap to Lenskart, because at Lenskart I was doing everything under the sun, like project management, program management. I was looking at testing. I was looking at customer success. I was basically taking calls all day. It was all everything that you can think of. But in Gap, my role was very specific to taking those business requirements, getting it executed, and of course, everything else that comes with products. So um, I think my experience is it was somewhat a shock to me because even in terms of a company culture, it was very different. This is an Indian company with like different culture. Everything was very different. So it was sort of a shock to me. But yeah, I think you just have to understand that no matter how much your roles change, the core essence or the element of product management remains the same across. Even now, in Jevox, like Akshita mentioned, right, this is not something which is coming intuitively to you because you've never actually seen ad tech. It goes on in the background. But when it comes to Gap, it's a website, Lenskart, you go into a store, you know exactly, you can understand things. So at the end of the day, your job as a product manager, you have to remember, will always be go into a product, understand, ask those important questions, and prioritize what is important to the product and get it executed. That is the essence of it, and that will not change. So, yeah, culture wise, ways of working, the, how they pace things, everything will be different with different organizations. Sometimes you'll be doing the work of 10 other people, and you have to be okay with it because that is the role that you've signed up for. So things will change, but I think your focus should always and always remain on the core of a product manager.
Good. Now coming to a very like $1 billion question for a lot of people is how much of a salary hike then can they expect when they're shifting from a software development to a product management role? So Akshita, if you can tell about 2 year MBA courses and Sneha on 1 year MBA as well as slightly switching.
Okay, so I do not have an answer that will make people very happy. I think when I went for an MBA only, I had compared the salary that I was getting then to probably the average packages, and it kind of slid a little lower because of the market when we actually joined, right? And that is something that I became okay with. Things will change as the market changes, as maybe you switch companies later. I think then the hikes get better as you grow into leadership roles. It is better. But I think as a software developer, you need to see what base you're coming in with. If you are already, earning a little above average, then you need to be okay with not getting a lot of these. Cat gurus that I used to listen to would tell that 3x हो जाएगा 4x हो जाएगा पैसे में नहाते रहोगे and all of that. But it all depends on what your package before was. If you were in a kind of role that you felt like, this is just bare sustenance, then maybe an MBA can really help you, right? There's a lot of people because there is a certain average that MBA does give you, that ROI will come. So depending on what your baseline was before, the salary hike can be great for you or it cannot. But again, my purpose of doing an MBA was to switch my career path. So I'm okay with it.
I think spot on. But just to add to that, a lot of my different friends who were software developers, they took salary cuts just to get the product role. In which basically, if you make a transition even without an MBA, you might have to take a cut. So it makes sense there. But a lot of my friends who were moving from software to product also got really good hikes also. So that is a little like a mixed bag. For me, of course, I was moving from a product to product. So for me, it was not really a short term goal, short term ROI. For me, maybe it'll be a long term. I'm really hoping it will be. But for short term, I'm sure it's the opportunity cost is not too much. It's just 1 year. But I'm sure if I would have switched directly, also, I would have gotten the same hike or maybe more. So the way I look at it is you might not get the ROI right away in the couple of years that come, but eventually, when you're looking at leadership roles and the choices between somebody who has an MBA and the business knowledge and the skills that come with it, and somebody who doesn't, you might be the go-to person, right? So you have to think of it 5 years down the line. For example, if you want to start something of your own, so the brand that comes with an MBA, the knowledge that comes with an MBA will help you get that funding better, right? So you have to think of multiple things in terms of your long-term goal.
Matlab, it's a very really shocking bit for me that like you don't really get a very large hike from a software developer to a product management role, which is something with मतलब मैं जब इस एपिसोड के बारे में रिसर्च कर रहा था तो हर पहली बार पता चल रहा है मुझे, क्योंकि हर यूट्यूबर यही बोल रहा है कि बहुत बड़ा हाइक मिलता है तुम्हें, सॉफ्टवेयर प्रोडक्ट चले जाओ, 10x सैलरी, 1 करोड़ कमाओगे, ये है वो है. दिस इज द रियलिटी चेक दैट अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल शुड नो कि इफ यू वांट टू स्विच इन फॉर द रोल दैट यू वांट, नॉट फॉर द मनी. तो दिस इज वन थिंग. ऑल्सो आई वुड लाइक टू क्लैरिफाई वन मोर थिंग, जो काफ़ी यूट्यूबर्स ये भी बोलते हैं कि इट इज़ नॉट हैवी वर्कलोड जॉब एज कम्पेयर टू अ कंसल्ट रोल. लाइक कंसल्ट रोल में बहुत काम करना पड़ता है एंड यू गेट इन अ ओके पे, बट प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट इज समवेयर जहाँ पे आराम होता है एंड देन ऑल्सो यू गेट इन अ गुड पे. तो उसके बारे में भी इफ यू कैन टेल कि वो भी सच है या नहीं है.
I doubt. Again, it's a very company dependent thing. Some companies will एक एक बूंद पैसा चूस के जाएंगे वो पूरे जैसे वीकेंड काम करोगे वीक काम करोगे सो एंड सम कंपनीज इट बी चिल ऑल्सो बट कंसल्टिंग एज अ फील्ड इट्स नॉट ईजी the people who I know in MBB also and in other companies, they have to work a lot. The work-life balance is skewed, and there is a understanding that you will be okay with it because you're entering consulting, so it's a given. But when it comes to product management, it's not a given. At least in my current company, there is a very stable work life balance because, in general, in tech, I believe people understand work life balance better, and developers are very good at like saying 5 days and they'll be 2 days. So they already, it's a kind of understood sort of a thing that you will be pretty chill, better than consulting. But let's not say that all companies will have it that way. I know companies, some of my friends, I'll not name companies, but some of my friends in those companies are working till 10 every day, and that is early. If you leave at 10 p.m., that is early. So it's not a norm that will be chill, but most likely you will be better off in product than consulting. At least that's what my experience is.
Akshay, do you also agree with that?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I think overall, from my understanding, is that it is not as hectic as consulting, not just because of the working hours, but because this does not entail things like, traveling a lot or all of that. So in terms of work-life balance, a lot of those things work for you. A lot of tech companies are still in the hybrid work model. Some of them allow you to work completely remotely from your home location, though there are very few of those. And as Sneha said, it's very dependent on your company. If maybe you are at a startup or something that is in the nascent phase, it's just started out, you may have a lot of work to do. But in most companies, it's not that hectic. Initially, it will be because you are learning something that's completely new. As a software developer, you did not know these things. It's a completely new domain. You have never had the experience of actually taking ownership of a product, of managing a whole dev team. So I think the learning curve is pretty steep in that sense. But the number of hours that you put in most cases will be manageable. It will not be something that, uh, you know, makes you feel like it's not a sustainable career for sure. It is a career that you can be in the long run, is what my understanding is. And also, that is my intention also. The working hours may be different. I have heard a lot of like, even my office hours a little, it starts at 12, ends at 8. Sometimes you have calls in the evening, but at least I know that I can do it from wherever I want. I don't have to keep traveling up and down. So it is, again, there's no yes or no answer, but it's not ever going to be very bad for sure. I think in product.
That is great to know. But now, like, gotten a lot of insights from you, both of you, regarding this role and your journey. Your tips for anyone who is now thinking, like, if they want to shift from software to product roles, someone who is just straight out of college or like 1 or 2 years of experience, your both of your tips for them.
Okay, I can go first. Um, the first thing is you have to first even know for a fact if you really want to do it, because this is a trend that I'm seeing very recently that now product management is very well known, right? So it might seem like the shiny thing wherein you don't have to code, so you feel like this is maybe something I want to do, but it's very important that you make up your mind and understand the very essence of the role and if you would actually enjoy it. You would have to work with multiple different people and you would have to understand everything well enough, right? So if you are, say, not somebody who would want to do multiple different things or talk to a lot of people, and Also, this is something that is a given with the role, that you are the person responsible or you own the product, so you take the fall if something wrong happens. If you do not enjoy something like that, if you feel that you cannot thrive with that sort of work, then it might not be for you. So understand the role very well before you take the leap, because it just might seem as a starry thing, and on YouTube and other places, people, like Ayush was mentioning, the double triple, don't go into all of that. First understand the role if you'd be happy doing it. Just to run away from, say, coding or a monotonous life, don't just do it for that reason. Once you are sure that this is something you want to do, and for this you might want to like shadow your product manager, take a small project, see if you can handle it, if you enjoy it. But once you are sure, then the most important thing is to build the product muscle, which means that you do teardowns, you do product teardowns, you make a portfolio, you show your work, right? So once you are also not just showing your work, but you're also getting better at understanding a product, how to improve it, thinking like a product manager. And that will just change the way you think, because every time you look at an app, you'll be like, why is this here? ये यहाँ पे क्यों है? ये बहुत खराब है, ये बहुत अच्छा है. And you'll start forming those opinions. Start documenting them, make a very good portfolio that you're proud of. And then when you're looking for a role, be it internally in a company, through an MBA, externally, whatever it is, you have something to show for. And this comes a long way, where degrees might not. Like, for example, if you get a certification from a certain organization, just because it's a certification doesn't guarantee you a job. Because as a recruiter, I will be thinking that you got this because you paid money. Where is your effort? Where do I see your input into this? So things like anything that has shown that you've worked through it, that you've thought through things, and you can show for it, will help you get that role. It could be an MBA, it could be an internal role, but if you have put in the effort and you have a portfolio for it, that is definitely going to help you.
A really insightful tip there. Akshata, yours.
I think first, when you're starting off, think of where you are. Like, it's very easy to say, I am in tech, I'm a software developer, product management is also in tech. So, whichever company comes will look at me only. That is not true. The roles are very different. And there are a few other roles also that make for a slightly easier transition than from software development. Like, I think in our UG, we had a lot of analyst roles that came in. So I have seen people transition from analyst to product analyst to product manager. I think that is a natural progression that I've seen in many cases. So look at where your role is and how many stepping stones come in the way to becoming a PM. Again, as Neha mentioned, MBA is just one of those stepping stones, and it's not a guarantee. Also, also one more thing I want to say: if you want to become a PM and you are going into MBA just for that, and you're closed off to all other roles, then it's going to get a little hard for you, because it's 2 3 companies that come, and if you don't get that shortlist, it's going to make you very panicky. So always think of your other options. You cannot just say that I am doing an MBA because I want to be a PM. That's not how it works. And similarly, just the way before it works pre-MBA, post-MBA also, it is not like if you don't get the title of a product manager, it is the end of your PM career. There are also roles that come on campus from which you can transition later. As I had already mentioned, program management, project management, all of these roles. Even if you are in a company that is related to tech, and you are doing something of that sort, whatever your title may be, there is always an opportunity to transition into it, and it's going to be easier now that you have an MBA. So yeah, I would just say calibrate your expectations properly, because the main thing that I have seen in my 2 years is that the number of PM roles is very less, at least the ones that came to our campus. So know what you want, and always have a plan B. If PM does not work out, what are you going to do? And yeah, give it your best. And as I said, the prep once you're going to B school to become a PM is not very hard. Your seniors will help you. It's not rigorous in any way. But if that's something that you want, I think it will be a smooth ride.
Thank you so much, guys. What what an amazing conversation we had for the last 1 hour. Didn't realize that we crossed much more than an hour, and I got in a lot of insights of experience of a software engineer जो प्रोजेक्ट मैनेजमेंट सोच के आया था. मैं तो बिना उसके एक्सपीरियंस के भी आया था, तो भी आई डेंट नो कि कैसे कर सकते हैं, क्या हो सकता है. बट अ लॉट ऑफ insights from you for a person जिसको आप करना है. Also, I'll put in both of your LinkedIn tag down in the descriptions. Especially Sneha does a lot of product breakdowns and she also holds one-on-one calls for someone who is looking for mentorship. So that will be really helpful for you. And thank you so much for joining in. Thank you.